Donald Trump is literally tearing down the White House, and he's dispatched Karoline Leavitt to make excuses for it, and in fact say you shouldn't be mad at Donald Trump. No, you should be mad at Barack Obama. Take a look.
Are the Democrats jealous that Trump's building this big, beautiful ballroom?
It certainly appears that way, Jesse, and I believe there's a lot of fake outrage right now because nearly every single president who has lived in this beautiful White House behind me has made modernizations and renovations of their own. And in fact, presidents for decades in the modern time have quipped about how they wish they had a larger event space here at the White House that can hold hundreds more people than the current East Room and State Dining Rooms can. In fact, President Obama notably complained that during his tenure, he had to hold a state visit on the South Lawn and get a very expensive tent. If you talk to journalists who have covered the White House for decades, as I do here every single day, they will also tell you that administration after administration have publicly and privately spoken about the need for a larger event space.
So this is a very strange excuse that they keep rolling out. That like for 150 years, they've wanted a big, beautiful ballroom. Again, nobody watching this has ever heard anyone say that. And I also love Jesse Waters being like, are they just jealous? Douchebag. If they had wanted to tear down a building and then pay taxpayer dollars to get it built, they could have done that. Do they not get that? It's not like bravery to build a fancy dancing room. They just didn't give a damn about it because not everybody's focused on having a place for fancy parties. That's not being a strong alpha male. That's a guy way too focused on putting on tap shoes or whatever. Nobody else understands the focus on this, but they have to defend it because Donald Trump is pushing for it. Okay, so now as with everything else in America, blame Obama. It's not actually Trump's fault. It's Obama's fault because as Karoline Leavitt points out, Obama complained about having to use a tent. And it turns out that her statement is half true. The true part is that there was a tent. So Obama did use a tent. You can see a photo of it here, a big tent, which by the way, you could just do that. You could put up a tent and not spend hundreds of millions of dollars. The issue is that Obama did not complain about it. He in fact spoke very favorably about it, saying, as we all know, in India, the event involved bringing over Indian diplomats. In India, some of life's most treasured moments are often celebrated under the cover of a beautiful tent. It's a little like tonight. We have incredible food and music and are surrounded by great friends. ABC News reported at the time that the White House aides viewed the tent as a symbol of the Obama administration's openness, since it could accommodate far more guests than the traditional East Room or State Dining Room. They also used it again in October 2016 for the final state visit under Obama. The Italian prime minister came over at the time for that event. So no, Obama did not complain about it, but it turns out someone actually did. Can you guess who? Yes, back in 2011, Rush Limbaugh had Donald Trump on to say, I called up the White House. I said, listen, I'm really good at this stuff. I'll build you a magnificent ballroom. We'll go through committees. I will build the White House a ballroom so when the head of India comes to town, we can give him a 5-star dinner in a magnificent ballroom befitting this country in the White House. They never got back to me. It's a $100 million gift. They never got back to me. So he was complaining even back then. And my God, is this guy, he has been focused for a decade and a half on a goddamn ballroom. And I can only say for myself, if you were to look back through the entirety of my life, I will guarantee that more than 90% of the times I've used the term ballroom has been in conjunction with covering this story. But meanwhile, he's been talking about it a lot. And also, Viviana, I just want to point out to you, it seems a little bit rich that Donald Trump is offended that they didn't take him up under the Obama administration to build this ballroom when Donald Trump had spent years saying that Obama wasn't an American citizen, but they think he's gonna build a fancy dancing room for them. What do you think?
Well, I actually have said ballroom a lot recently because I got married this year and it was ballroom this, ballroom that.
I was there actually, and it was fun.
But we didn't
was a
dance,
nice
we
ballroom.
leave because was beautiful. It's not going to be as nice as the White House is, which nobody will come to visit because he doesn't have any friends anymore unless you pay him. I love that when Karoline Leavitt lies, her smile is enormous. This is fake news. And in modern day history, okay, I can tell that ChatGPT wrote this speech. And I am sick of the lies. She is sick of the lie. Her body is rejecting the lies. But I wonder if she even knew that they were gonna smash it up, because the lie before was like, it wasn't gonna touch even the perimeter of the structure.
Actually, Viviana, that's a good point. Why don't we play this little clip to point out how much of a lie that turned out to be?
This is going to be probably the finest ballroom ever built. In order to do it properly, we had to take down the existing structure. The way it was shown, it looked like we were touching the White House. We don't touch the White House. That's a bridge, a glass bridge going from the White House to the ballroom. Then you get into the lobby of the ballroom, and then you go into the magnificent, the main room. And it's something that has gotten incredible reviews.
Yeah, no, it hasn't, by the way. Who was speaking? And meanwhile, all the cabinet, Pete Hegseth is sitting there with his little legs crossed or whatever, like, yeah, that's a magnificent ballroom you've got there, dear leader. And of course, as you pointed out, it was a lie. It touched, oh boy, did it touch the East Wing of the White House. It touched it like Donald Trump used to touch women in New York City back in the day. There's nothing left. They touched it so good, actually. And again, without consent, to be clear. Sorry, I cut you off.
Well, when you have a lot of money, you can touch them by the ballroom, John. I was online talking with people, as you do, a few weeks ago about this ballroom. And the MAGA heads were like, "What? It's a big deal. It's not even gonna affect it." What are they saying now? Like, I'm so curious about how their mind does the mental gymnastics to justify this kind of behavior. I don't even really care about structures like this kind of thing. I mean, I like old houses and antiquity, but like the fact that you would just smash up the people's house after lying, and this is part of the national park, what's the word I'm thinking of, property of the national park. Like it's under its jurisdiction. Yeah. The White House is actually part of that. So like to do that without any approval, public opinion. I mean, and somebody else mentioned, like, are they salvaging the windows? They're not salvaging anything. They're just demolishing. Can you imagine? Like, I bought these salvage windows from the White House. I mean, that would be kind of cool, but they're not even doing that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No.
It's sad, John.
No. Look, here's to the extent that I care about this. One, that it's going to be literally twice as big as the rest of the White House. It's like everything else in Donald Trump's design. It's gargantuan, huge, and grotesque. It's like the Trump tie of buildings, but much more importantly for me than the actual building, because again, I was never going to go into the other East Wing. Like, it didn't matter to me. It's the funding of it. And they keep saying, "Why are you mad? We're not paying for it." No, that's why I'm mad, actually. I'm mad because you are now gonna be, it's, by the way, it was gonna be 150 million, then it was 250 million. Now it's $300 million that other people are gonna pay. Rich ass CEOs are gonna donate $300 million. And what do they get in return for that? This is now a $300 million bucket of bribes to Donald Trump, and he is going to pay them back. That is the issue that I have with it. Far more than how fancy the dancing room is going to be, it's yet more corruption from the most corrupt administration in American history. And by the way, incredibly unpopular. Only 23% of the American people approve of the demolishing of the East Wing. 23%. That's not even all of the core MAGA audience, by the way. 40% strongly disapprove of it. By the way, only a small plurality of Republicans actually approve this, 45%. That's not that strong for Republicans. Most people don't like that. And at the end of the day, it isn't that it's being done. It's that it is so clear that Donald Trump cares more about this than everything else going on combined. All he cares about is his fancy dancing room. And when the government is shut down and the economy is being hurt, this is Marie Antoinette crap, man. This does not play well to regular people that are suffering with their health insurance costs going up, that Donald Trump keeps talking about magnificent ballrooms. This is more disconnected. I try to think, like Joe Biden talking about corn pop, that sounded kind of out of left field. This is worse because he keeps bringing it up and he keeps bringing out the photos and he keeps bringing out the little models and everything. It's like if you made Sheldon Cooper president and all he wanted to talk about was building like a train that goes around DC. It's like, no, I know that you're obsessed with that, but you need to understand that we're not. You're the weirdo in this case.